So we finally made it to the end of Season 5. Only 2 more to go. We are well past the halfway point.
It's only taken us 25 years to get here.
I'm pretty sure we made that joke at the end of Season 4.
This season, to me, felt a lot different from the previous 2. It felt more like the early seasons where you had a lot of standalone episodes that honestly could have been inserted anywhere in the series and didn't really carry any subplots forward, which was a surprise to me because it felt like Seasons 3 and 4 had a lot more of those subplots going.
That's true, but I felt like some of the standalone episodes here were pretty strong.
I felt like it was only a small handful of them that really stood out.
I felt like there weren't any real big threats. We didn't really have much of the Romulans. We had, I don't think, any Cardassians, and I guess the Ferengi showed up once.
Yeah, we really only had that 2-part opener that was continuing on from Season 4. After that, it was mostly all gone, although we did have that Unification 2-parter as well with Spock.
I know the Cardassians ended up being the main threat in Deep Space Nine, so maybe that's the reason why they didn't show up again here, but there's no reason they can't.
We did have one episode dealing with the Borg, and I am glad that it wasn't just the same thing we've seen before. And I wonder if maybe that's why they didn't do that many of those episodes, because they didn't want to just say, oh, it's the same thing people have seen before.
Yeah.
Even the next phase, which again did deal with the Romulans, it was kind of more in the background of what the episode was really dealing with.
In terms of character episodes, it was interesting how those were divvied up, because the majority of them in this season were focused on side characters. For main cast ones, Picard had 3, Data had 3, Worf had 3, Wesley had 2, which was weird, and more than some of the other characters. Troy had 2, Ro had 2, Geordi and Riker each had 1.
I thought Worf's were disappointing in that it was mostly him dealing with Alexander, and on the Worf side of things, he was mostly just a one-note character in those episodes.
Well, I thought the relationship building between him and Alexander, his episodes made good use of that. The introduction of Alexander wasn't just, he's a kid here, so what?
That's true, but I feel like the earlier episodes we got went a little farther into Worf himself, and these were more kind of playing Alexander off of Worf.
Well, yeah. I mean, you talk about redemption, and he's changing so much of his life. Whereas with Alexander, he's just changing tiny things in his own personal struggles.
Yeah, and even then it feels like every next time we go back to it, it's almost kind of reset back to where it was.
And introduction of new characters, let's talk about Rowlarin.
I liked her a lot when she was first introduced, and I got the impression when she was first introduced that they were going to have some kind of ongoing storylines with her, and that they kind of knew where she was going as a character. But after that first episode, it felt like they kind of brought her up at random times, and didn't seem to really know what to do with her once she was actually there.
I 100% agree. And it felt like every time she did show up, they had to remind us again of what kind of character she was. Whereas if they had really integrated her into the crew, they wouldn't have to do that every time.
Even if she was just in the background like that, there would have been a lot more potential for character interactions, because she's the one that kind of doesn't fit in with everybody else.
Yeah, the only ones she had were her introduction and the next phase, which she pretty much shared with Geordi. Let's talk about some guest characters.
We had the alien guy in Darmok.
We had Tasha Yar as our Romulan. We had the crystalline entity, my favorite. Wesley's girlfriend, played by Ashley Judd.
Oh, I forgot about that. I do wish she had come back more.
Me too. But I wish Ensign Gomez had also come back.
She probably got killed in a space toilet malfunction or something.
We had Leonard Nimoy. We had the whole Spock-Sarek Perrin thing come up.
Which I thought was a very disappointing use of the character. Well, not necessarily use of the character, I just felt like the episodes themselves were not that great.
We had Max Headroom, Data's mini-me,
The Violator,
Troy's genetic boyfriend,
Commander Macduff,
Dr. Homicide,
Soren,
Frasier,
Wesley's dead cadet friend.
Loaxana did show up again. I think it's interesting that characters like her, who started out only as comic relief, have had some surprising character development.
And honestly, that's more than you can say for some of the main cast, even 5 seasons in.
We had Jean Grey.
We had that floating bubble-headed demon guy.
Hugh.
Isabella.
Mark Twain.
The phasing Romulan.
I'm glad they gave him more space. That's so stupid. And Guinan showed up and had a little bit more to do in this season, but I don't know if it's really going to go anywhere.
It's become a normal thing to have a two-part connection between two seasons, but this is the first time that I've felt like I don't really expect it to be good.
I think maybe the people behind the show felt like they had to do it since they had such success with it earlier. There were a lot of kids and kid-centric episodes in this season. We had Disaster, we had the introduction of Alexander, we had the one with Clara and Isabella, we had Hero Worship, and I guess arguably he was kind of a kid, so Iborg might fit in there too.
And Wesley was in 2 episodes too.
Yeah, he's not really a kid anymore though.
I know some people hate episodes that deal with kids. There's no reason they can't be good. Having kid characters can be a good opportunity to show things that are happening from a different perspective. It felt like maybe they were trying to either appeal more to kids at times or just trying to kind of recapture the feeling of being a kid and watching sci-fi shows. That's my impression.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Let's talk about Sela a little bit more. It was interesting when she was first introduced in the previous season, but then they didn't do anything with her. She just kind of pops up every once in a while, and the fact that she's related to Tasha doesn't matter at all, and it's an element that was introduced that didn't go anywhere.
And if she shows up again, is it going to add anything else, or is it just going to be more of the same?
And again, that kind of relates to my feelings for the way the whole season went, was all these subplots that had been going before just kind of petered out.
Yeah, this season itself feels like a standalone season.
Which is very disappointing to me, because I felt like those episodes in seasons 3 and 4 were some of the stronger ones.
I agree. Not that there weren't good episodes in this season.
That's true.
This season had some good episodes. It also had some memorable ones, even if they weren't good. Episodes people think of when they think of this show.
But for me, a lot of the time, those episodes don't have anything to offer other than that basic idea. A lot of times it felt like the way the writers were approaching things was saying, we have an idea for an episode that honestly could be any other show. It doesn't have to be Star Trek, and it doesn't specifically have to deal with these characters. And they didn't take advantage of the fact that they have these characters to kind of shape them around that idea. They just kind of stuck it all in there and made the episode.
I'm not sure I agree with you all the way, but I see where you're coming from.
And I felt like in general, and maybe this is because we're 5 seasons in now, they're doing a lot of the fake science stuff, which, I mean, obviously I seem to bring that up pretty much every episode, but it's really annoying when the episode itself deals with some kind of seemingly sci-fi concept, but then when they try to explain it, it doesn't make any sense. But that's what the episode revolves around.
Some pretty heavy themes going on in this season. I think of violations, ethics, and the outcast off the top of my head.
Yeah, even the first duty, being involved in the death of a schoolmate.
Ruining flowers by just sitting on them. That was the real tragedy.
Even Loxana dealing with getting old in Cost of Living.
And being alone, yeah.
I felt like the season overall got a lot better toward the end. There was a long stretch in this season where I just kind of felt very indifferent to everything that was going on and was honestly not really looking forward to watching it. Mostly in the first half, like A Matter of Time,
Silicon Avatar,
The Game, Disaster, The Masterpiece Society,
Hero Worship.
They were just kind of dull and forgettable.
And there have been so many good episodes in this show that they stand out even more.
After how good the second half of Season 3 was, and a lot of Season 4, I honestly expected this to keep that going and be a lot better. I am glad that most of the better episodes came toward the end of the season because I am looking forward to Season 6, even though, again, that two-parter, I just want to get past it.
Favorite episode this season?
I would have to go with The Inner Light, which I'm honestly surprised at how much I liked it. It was a character-focused episode that had a really good idea for the story itself, and I mean, they could have done that with any character, and it could have been really good. But I do want to say I also really liked Conundrum. I know you pointed out how much things didn't make sense, and I don't disagree, it doesn't really make sense, but the things that work, I thought made it so enjoyable that I still ended up really liking it a lot.
I'm also going to say The Inner Light is good writing. I think Patrick Stewart really sold that one too. Because you could have put another character from the show in that episode, and I don't think they would have done as good of a job.
That's probably true, but in terms of the story, I think it still could have been interesting to see somebody else in there.
What about your least favorite episode this season?
I would probably have to go with Silicon Avatar. I liked that they brought back the crystalline entity, but they didn't do anything with it, and it was more about the really annoying doctor woman, and I hated that episode.
I'm going to go with the Masterpiece Society. It was a slog to get through that one. It wasn't interesting. It was a disservice to Troy to be like, this is her episode. We're going to get some character development, but then there wasn't. And a lot of it didn't make any sense. And I'm not just saying that because I'm still angry about that kid playing the piano. Although that's not giving it any points. I think the episodes focused around Picard stand out in this season because we have the Inner Light, but we also have the Perfect Mate, and I like that one too. And I like Darmok. I know you don't really like Darmok.
It didn't feel like a Picard episode to me. It just felt like he was the one who happened to be there.
So that's season 5. For those of you who are only watching this episode, we actually discuss every episode individually, so you can check those out too. And to answer your other question, no, that theme isn't going anywhere. At least not in these Star Trek ones, because we're in too deep to change it now. So you're just going to have to put up with it or skip ahead those 12 seconds every time. YouTube added this new feature. It's called subscribing to a channel. And all you have to do is click the button.
But it only works if you also click that thumbs up looking one next to it.
On to season 6.
That's the sound of the spaceship going out. The Millennium Falcon or whatever it's called.